When Jurassic World was released, we got a look at the first hybrid dinosaur in the series, the Indominus Rex. Then came our second hybrid in Fallen Kingdom, the Indoraptor, a horror movie-worthy creation that enjoyed a body much larger than real dromaeosaurs, while retaining crazy agility, a sickle toe claw, and, perhaps hardest to miss, a set of slender, man-like arms equipped with claws that would put Freddy Krueger to shame. While smaller than Indominus Rex, this combination of features certainly makes it creepier. The Indoraptor was inspired by the question, what would happen if you combined an Indominus Rex with a real velociraptor? But as it turns out, nature already answered that question a really long time ago, about 150 million years ago to be exact. During the Mesozoic, a family of theropods emerged strikingly similar in appearance to the Indoraptor, but in some ways even more bizarre and arguably more deadly. These were the Megaraptors. The Discovery. Like the Indoraptor, this group is shrouded in secrecy and mystery thanks to their minimal fossil record. To date, researchers can't even agree on where they come from or what they are. But there's no argument they would have made perfect Jurassic Park villains, as each followed the same nightmarish body plan. What you're seeing isn't a giant sickle claw on some supersized raptor's foot, but a hand. It belonged to Megaraptor, the holotype for the family and the first mega to be discovered, unearthed in Argentina before the turn of the century. As its name suggests, paleontologists originally thought they'd found a gigantic raptor based on its massive claw, which they believed belonged to a foot. However, we now know this was a hand claw sitting on its first finger, measuring a whopping 30 centimeters or 12 inches, the same length as the longest Bowie knives or a typical ruler. This meant Megaraptor literally had the longest claws of any predatory animal ever, a title only beaten by one of its own, deadly armament. Over the next 2 decades, many new genera belonging to this family were discovered, with a few being even scarier than their predecessor. Now the total number of Megaraptors sits at 11 different genera. These additional discoveries taught us that Megaraptor's iconic weapons were somehow much more lethal than first thought. These theropods didn't just have one built-in sword, but 2, as their second finger had its own enlarged, recurved claw just like the first, shockingly sharp and very long. What's crazy is their claws were likely even longer in real life, as they were most likely covered in a keratinous sheath that might have added an additional 30% in length. What made these claws truly deadly wasn't only their shape and size, but also what backed them up. Megaraptors had robust and proportionally large arms and hands that would have given theropods like Tyrannosaurus rex some pretty major insecurities. These arms were roped in thick muscles, and bones were constructed in a way that made them durable and highly flexible, allowing them to freely maneuver their weapons around with speed, letting them be used as either sword or spear, depending on how they were feeling. Both cases would lead to catastrophic flesh wounds and massive internal damage. Hunting strategies. To truly understand the extent of their brutality, we have to talk about prey body size. If a dinosaur was large enough, Megaraptors would have hunted it using giant fatal claw strikes and slashes to bring it down before dicing their victim into smaller, edible pieces. However, this is actually the lesser of two evils. For smaller dinosaurs, including human-sized ones, Megaraptors did something much more unpleasant. They would first catch their prey, grip them, and pierce them like a shish kebab with their giant hooks, then, while possibly still alive, eat them. Kind of like a person eating pizza, only the pizza is alive, has been impaled, and is definitely screaming. We know this is possible, as Megaraptors all had hyper-flexible and well-developed shoulders, unlike anything seen in most predators, implying a wide range of motion and the ability to lift things upwards towards their waiting mouths. Varied dentition. Despite not being as deadly as their horrendous claws, their mouths were no joke either. Unlike most predators that have similar teeth to their relatives, Megaraptorans had vastly different ones among them, each seeming to take inspiration from other notorious dinosaurs. For example, Megaraptor had similar frontal teeth to those seen in Tyrannosaurs, being chisel-like with D-shaped cross-sections. Meanwhile, Murusraptor's front teeth were like fangs. Others, such as Australovenator and Orkoraptor, had teeth more like spinosaurids, with front sides being smooth and flat while backs were serrated and designed to cut. Studies have shown Megaraptors probably couldn't bite down or open their mouths with that much force. But given how efficiently designed their teeth were, that wasn't really an issue for having a deadly bite. especially when you remember the arms already had more than enough killing potential. Size comparisons. Nature's own monstrosities take the prize in size as well. Of all members we know of, the closest to the Indoraptor's stature would have been Eostion, an Argentinian genus that weighed 1.1 tons and measured 7.5 meters or 25 feet, nearly identical to Dr. Wu's creation. But the crazy thing is, this is actually considered medium-sized for this family, not large. They could get much bigger. Nearly half of Megaraptors were larger than Indoraptor, with Orkoraptor, Megaraptor, and Tratayenia all being over 8 meters in length. Currently, the largest Australian theropod is thought to have been a Megaraptor, fitting for a country well known for messed up wildlife. Still, it wasn't in Australia where you'd find the largest member. To meet a real giant, you'd have traveled back to late Cretaceous Argentina, where, if seriously unlucky, you would have encountered Maip. This somewhat funny-sounding name does not do it justice. Nothing about this giant theropod was comedic, especially for its prey. Not only was it the largest member in its family, but also a massive theropod in general, with recovered bones suggesting a length of up to 10 meters or 33 feet, longer than the biggest conclusive Allosaurus specimens. At this size, Maip was no doubt the biggest and baddest theropod in Argentina. While no claw belonging to this beast has been found yet, researchers estimate, based on its closest relatives, that they were at least 37.5 centimeters or 15 inches long, giving it the title of predator with the largest claws, even including Freddy Krueger in the running. Speed and agility. What might really stop your heart is seeing one start to run. Many dinosaurs have pneumatized bones filled with air pockets, but in Megaraptors, this pneumatization was taken to extreme levels. So extreme that only Neovenator is known to rival their hollowness. This made them very light for their sizes. For example, Megaraptor was only around 1 ton, while an Allosaurus of similar length might have been 50% heavier. Some, like Australovenator, might have been no more than 310 kilograms or 680 pounds, despite being over 6 meters or 20 feet in length, leading some paleontologists to think certain genera were the cheetahs of their time. Distribution and extinction. This aggressive attitude, combined with their build, ultimately allowed Megaraptors to establish an expansive dominion, with species known from 3 continents: Australia, Asia, and South America. If you compare this group's survival time against others, it's basically a clean sweep. Tyrannosaurids achieved an existence of about 16 million years, Spinosaurids 46 million, Carcharodontosaurids 64 million, and Megalosaurids 25 million. Meanwhile, Megaraptors clocked in existence spanning over 84 million years, making them among the longest-lived dinosaur groups, period. Like non-avian dinosaurs as a whole, Megaraptorans were only wiped out after a giant meteor slammed into Earth 66 million years ago, bringing an end to all non-avian dinosaurs and the last of the Megaraptors. To this day, we're still waiting for a new animal to pop up that has claws even close to as impressive as theirs. Thank you for watching. If you thought this video was crazy, wait until you see the next one.